Hello, how are we doing today? Um, we're going to be starting off with some critical thinking stuff. We will get into our lesson then over what I will refer to as distributing with polynomials. Is essentially we're going to be multiplying a monomial, one thing, by a polynomial, two, three, four things, what, etc. Okay, so essentially it is just basically the distributive property, but we have some new rules that will come into play. So let's go ahead without further ado. Let's get rid of my ugly mug and let's start with these four problems. Go ahead and make sure you pause the video and do them first. All right. So for these, multiplies to be 45, adds to be 18. Okay, if we follow our general rule, we'll start off with 1 in the number. So 1 times 45 is 45. 1 plus 45 is 46. So that's not going to work. Next number is 2. 45 divided by 2 is a decimal, so I skip it. 45 divided by 3 is 15. So 3 times 15 is 45. And lo and behold, 3 and 15. 3 plus 15 is 18. So 3 and 15 are our two numbers. Number 16, start off. 1 times 16 is 16. 1 plus 16 is 17. So that's not going to work. Next number is 2. 2 times 8 is 16. If I add them, though, I get 10. I'm looking for 8. 3 doesn't work. 4. And 4 times 4 is 16. 4 plus 4 and 8. So the two numbers are 4 and 4. Number 3, multiplies to be 5, adds to be negative 6. So I'm going to start off with 1 in the number. 1 times 5 is 5. 1 plus 5 is positive 6. So what then I have to remember is I'm allowed to do negative times a negative. Negative 1 times negative 5, that is still positive 5. Negative 1 plus negative 5, that's negative 6. Down to our last one, number 4, multiplies to be negative 20, adds to be 1. Okay, well, start off with 1 in the number. 1 times negative 20. 1 times negative 20 is negative 20. 1 plus negative 20, that's negative 19, so not it. 2. Negative 20 divided by 2 is negative 10. So that multiplies to be negative 20. That adds up to be negative 8. So no good. Next number's 3. Doesn't divide evenly. 4. Negative 20 divided by 4 is negative 5. And now it have 4 plus negative 5. Well, that's going to give me negative 1. So then what I have to remember then is I'm allowed to, it doesn't matter which one is negative for the multiplication. So I'm just going to switch to negative. I'm going to go negative 4 times 5. Negative 4 times 5 is still negative 20. But now negative 4 plus 5, that's going to be our positive 1. So our numbers are negative 4 and 5. Okay. Now, we are going to begin doing our distributive property. Now, essentially, again, this is multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. So I'm multiplying one thing by many things. But that is essentially is the distributive property. So when I look at this first problem here, we have 6y and then we have parentheses. 4y squared minus 9y minus 7, close parentheses. That looks just like the distributive property. Okay, so in essence, I'm multiplying make that a different. This negative, come on, that negative 6y by all three parts. Now, the problem is there tends to be a lot of errors when we multiply because we forget about some of the new rules that we have. So whenever I'm doing multiplication with these, one thing that can make this a little bit easier so we can see the multiplications is we can make a box. Okay, so I'm going 6y, one thing multiplied to a trinomial, 1, 2, 3 things. So I'm going to make a little box configuration on the side that just has a space of 1. I'm going to put a 6y. On the side that has 3 spaces, that's where I put my trinomial. So 4y squared, negative 9y, and negative 7. And now we can see the 3 multiplications that we need to do. So 6y times 4y squared. And this is where we have to remember some of our rules. 6 times 4 is 24. Then we have to remember y to the first times y squared. Remember, when I'm multiplying those y's, I have to add the exponents, and that's what gets forgotten a lot of times. So 1 plus 2, that'd be 24y to the third. 6y times negative 9y. 6 times negative 9 is negative 54. Then we have y times y. Y to the first times y to the first. Remember, that's got to add the exponents. 1 plus 1 is 2, so that'd be y squared. Then 6y times negative 7, that'd be negative 42y. Okay. Now, inside those parentheses, or inside the box, then I have these 3 things. None of them are like terms, so make sure you put it in standard form. I would have 24y to the third minus 54y squared minus 42y. And that'd be done. Okay, again, the box essentially is doing the same thing that we would do when we distribute. Okay, just kind of organizes it a little bit more. So let's look at another one here. Let's look at this one here. We have 3x times 2x squared plus 3x plus 5. Well, I'm going to utilize the box. I will say it is okay to do it this way, but if you're getting them incorrect, use that box. I have one thing multiplied to 3 things. So just going to make sure I have enough space, that I have space for 3 things on the top and space for 1 here. So space with 1, I put my 3x. The side that has 3, I put my trinomial. So we have 2x squared, 3x, and 5. And then we do our multiplications. 3x times 2x squared, 3 times 2 is 6. Remember, x times x squared, we have to add the exponents. 1 plus 2 is 3. So I'd have x to the third. 3x times 3x, 3 times 3 is 9. X times x, don't forget, since we're multiplying, we add the exponents. That becomes x squared. 3x times 5 is 15x. And we just need to write this in standard form. We look at the stuff in the middle. None of them are like terms. So I just have, okay, that's 6x to the third plus 9x squared plus 15x. And don't forget those plus signs. It'd be silly for me to have to mark them wrong because you forgot to put a plus sign. Okay, so that's the basics of distributing polynomials. Okay. Now, the next step in that is to kind of combine what we did yesterday with adding and subtracting polynomials to what we now have now with multiplying polynomials. Okay, so I have my parentheses, and just like we were doing with adding and subtracting, we're going to look in front of the parentheses. Okay, and we're going to see that each of those parentheses has something in front of it besides a positive 1. So I am going to need to distribute. Okay, this first one, I'm going to distribute that 3. So I have that 3, and that's being distributed to the 2t squared, negative 4t, and negative 15. Okay. On the second one, I have this 6t, and it's being distributed to the 5t plus 2. Notice I only made space for 2 boxes because there were only 2 terms in that parenthesis. And then I need to make sure I distribute correctly. 3 times 2t squared is 6t squared. 3 times negative 4t is negative 12t. 3 times negative 15 is negative 45. Well, my second one, 6t times 5t. 6 times 5 is 30. And then remember, t times t, we have to add the exponents. That becomes t squared. 6t times 2, that would be 12t. And now we are looking inside these boxes for like terms. Okay, so my t squareds, we have 6t squared and 30t squared. Remember, we're just adding these up now. 6t squared plus 30t squared are going to get added up. The negative 12t and the 12t get added up. And then we have the negative 45. So we put these together, you would get 36. Remember, we're adding. You don't mess with the exponents when you add. 36t squared. Negative 12t plus 12t, that is 0. So that's just gone. Then we have minus 45. That would be my final answer. Okay, so there's multiple steps to it. Okay, just be careful that you are doing your individual distributive properties correct. Okay, let's look at this one together. So we have 5 parentheses 4y squared plus 5y minus 2. That's the first part of the problem. And then plus 2y times 4y plus 3. Again, we look in front of our parentheses. There's a 5. I have to distribute. The second one has a 2y. I have to distribute. Okay, and I'm going to do this one without the boxes. It is okay either way. Okay, whichever one you feel more comfortable with. If you're not getting them correct, I will end up showing you how to use the boxes more. So 5 times 4y squared, that is 20y squared. 5 times 5y is positive 25y. And 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. I'm on the second one here. So be careful because this is a 2y, so you're going to have to worry about your exponents. 2y times 4y, 2 times 4 is 8. Y times y, you can't forget to add the exponents. It'd be y squared. Then 2y times 3 would be 6y. Now we're adding up all the like terms. So we have the y squareds. We have 20y squared and 8y squared that'll get added up. 25y and 6y that will get added up. And then we have that negative 10. That's going to be 28y squared plus 31y minus 10. Reminder, when you are adding like terms, you do not mess with the exponents. That seems to be a common error when we do these. All right, what I'm going to want you to do, I'm going to put up 4 problems. And I want you to pause the video and I want you to complete these 4 problems on your own. All right, let's take a look here. Number 9 is just a quick distributive property problem. I'm going to build my box here. So I have 3n. We have 6n minus 6. We multiply 3n times 6n is 18n squared. 3n times negative 6 is negative 18n. Neither of these are like terms. So we have 18n squared minus 18n. Okay. For the second one, build my box here real quick. I need a side for 3, so I make it a little bit longer. My 4x to the third goes on the side. Then I have 6x squared, negative 7x, and negative 8. So 4x to the third times 6x squared. 4 times 6 is 24. Remember, x to the third times x squared, I add the exponents. That becomes x to the fifth. 4x to the third times negative 7x. 4 times negative 7 is negative 28. X to the third times x to the first is x to the fourth. Then 4x to the third times negative 8, that would be negative 32, x to the third. None of these are like terms, so I just write them down in standard form. 24x to the fifth minus 28x to the fourth minus 32x to the third. Okay, so those are the first two. Now the second two, you have a little bit more work to be done. Okay. Number 11, I'm going to do using the box, using that method. The number 12, I'll go ahead and do without using the box. Okay, so for the box, it'd be one thing times two things. So let's make my space there. This would be a 2p. Then I have 6 plus 4p. And same thing's happening here. I have one thing times two things. It's going to be a 3p. Then I have 4 minus 3p. And just make sure we multiply. So starting here, 2p times 6 is 12p. 2p times 4p, 2 times 4 is 8. Remember, p times p, we have to add the exponents. That becomes p squared. For the second one, 3p times 4 is 12p. 3p times negative 3p is negative 9. And then p squared. Remember, p times p, we add the exponents. And now we need to check our like terms. So my p squareds, I have 8p squared and negative 9p squared. So I have those two. Then I have 12p plus 12p. I'm adding now, so I do not need to mess with the exponents. It's going to give me negative 1p squared plus 24p. Okay, last one here. Distribute. Okay, I'm going to just do it with the old school distribute. 3 times 4x squared, or sorry, 4x to the third is 12x to the third. 3 times 1x squared is 3x squared. And 3 times 2x is 6x. Now, be very careful with this second one because that is a negative 5x, and those negatives tend to get forgotten. So it's negative 5x times x squared. So that'd be negative 5x. Remember, the x times x squared, add the exponent. That's x to the third. Negative 5x times 7x, that is negative 35x squared. And now we're looking for our like terms. So I have my 12x to the third and my negative 5x to the third. Those two are going to get added up. My 3x squared and my negative 32x squared are going to get added up. And then I have that 6. So my final answer should have 7x to the third negative 29x squared plus 6. And that would be my final answer. Okay, what you need to do, we're going to open up our homework assignment is practice 8.2. There's 10 problems on it. I want you to make sure that you take care of those 10 problems. And then any other time that you have, make sure you are catching up on any of your missing work, especially your quizzes and your tests. Okay? You have a wonderful day, and we will see you again soon.